Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Matt here from YoVideogames, and I'm back again with another video game review, and it's been a while, but I've got a lot of them coming this week, so get ready. And first things first, I wanted to jump into a bunch of great games that have actually come out in the first quarter of this year, and I'm going to start with probably one of the best, or at least a personal favorite of mine, and that is Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. I think I got that right. I just call it Like a Pirate. I have no idea why they didn't call it Like a Pirate. I'm a little angry at Sega for not calling it Like a Pirate. The game should have just been called Like a Pirate. So much simpler and easier to remember and understand. But anyways, we're going to call it Like a Pirate for the rest of this review, for my own sanity. This is a spin-off of the mainline series of games in the Yakuza series, formerly Yakuza. Now it's Like a Dragon subtitle. But again, I don't know why Sega's running away from simplicity and easy to remember titles. Maybe they just don't want it to be called Yakuza. Maybe they like a Dragon. You know, maybe it doesn't have such a negative connotation on the shelf or whatever. But either way, this is a spin-off. It is not a mainline game, but that doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't have any connection to the mainline games, but boy, does it go out of its way to try to be its own thing. So, Like a Pirate is the first game in the franchise, spin-off or main game, where you have full control over series favorite Goro Majima. And it's actually shocking that it took this long to get to a game where he's the main character. Now, he's sort of a dual protagonist in Yakuza 0, another series fan favorite. He's definitely got a really cool additional epilogue story in Yakuza Kiwami 2. But this is the first game where it's like he's the main star. He's the main lead. No other characters. No sharing. No nothing. And so how do you possibly sell a game like this to people maybe who are new to the franchise? And they do kind of like the general JRPG thing, which is they give him amnesia. So yeah, Majima washes up on a beach off the somewhere around Hawaii and has amnesia and has to remember who he is, but can't for most of the game, and you basically are then given sort of a blank slate of a storyline to go off of here. Now, the main series games have become turn-based RPGs, starting with 7 and 8. This is not. This is like the traditional real-time action-based combat RPG. That being said, they did really try to go for bold here, go for broke here with the battle system. This is the first battle system where you can manually jump in and out of combat, which you could never do in the original Yakuza games. Actually, I'm not sure if you can jump outside of combat. Might just be in combat. But you do get a grapple hook to zip around places. But anyways, yeah, this is the first game with a jump button and has air juggles and air combos. And it's pretty great. Now, but I'll get to that in a minute. As far as the rest of the story goes, again, you can jump in here and not have played the rest of the games because it's very minimal what connections it has to the other games. Like, you'll run into characters from older games, and then Maj will be like, I have no idea who you are. I have amnesia. Sorry. So it kind of like strings the player along with the same thing. If you're new with the series, just be like, yeah, I don't know who you are. Sorry. You can tell me, oh, but you're so-and-so. We have all this history. Yeah, sure. Great. I have amnesia. Like, he literally will say these exact lines. Like, yeah, that don't mean jack to someone with amnesia, buddy. So it's kind of fun like that. It is a weird sort of, it's not fantasy based, and there's nothing super fantasy other than like the crazy air juggles in combat. It does delve into a little bit of pseudoscience a bit, I guess, but it's still a Yakuza game, and it's still sort of based in some realm of reality or grounded not non-fantastical thing. So while it is a game about pirates, nobody's going to be casting spells. Nobody's going to be doing summons. Actually, that's not true. I will lie. You know what? Forget it. This game is fantasy. So story goes as, you wash up on a sort of like tiny little village hamlet island, and you have amnesia, and you witness a group of pirates harassing the locals. So you take it upon yourself to beat up their captain and take their ship. And lo and behold, you become a pirate captain. And so it's modern day. Like, you have a pirate ship that looks, like a 17th century galleon, but it's got rocket engines underneath it, and it turns on a dime kind of thing. Maybe not quite a dime, but it turns. And you go to modern day conveniences, and you gamble with real world money. You get real world weaponry at certain points, although you get a legendary flintlock, which is basically a hand cannon blunderbuss. So I don't know. the game is all over the place. Like when they say, "Hey, this is a pirate simulator in modern day," they're not saying this is a game where you try to act like a real life modern day pirate. No, you're kind of playing this sort of like I'm still a pirate on a galleon with a crew, and they man the cannons and all that other stuff. But it is still set in this weird sort of modern world. You're basically living off the grid, I guess the best way to do it, where you have these sort of people all around the Pacific Islands living off the grid, and there's a sort of unwritten like thieves code, or a rule of law that you follow or go along with, with other rival pirate gangs and whatnot. So, which they kind of act, I guess you could say they kind of act like biker gangs in a way, but like with boats. But either way, because one of the main places of the game is a place called Madlantis, and it's sort of like your den of scum and villainy. It's also got a coliseum, and it's like the criminal underworld utopia or whatever. And yeah, there's a whole separate quest line to take that, become the champion or the ruler of it. So yeah, also in traditional Yakuza fashion, or at least more recent ones, there's definitely a lot of celebrity cameos. This one is no different. You have your main antagonist, or one of your main antagonists, really, Samoa Joe, and this fat son of a bitch is the king of Madlantis, and yeah, he's going to be a thorn in your side, eventually in the game story as you progress through it. It's actually very charming though. Like we'll get to the music, but like my God, like the things that they go out of their way to just be like, okay, it is absurd, but let's just kind of like go lean hard into the absurdity the whole way and just make it charming and fun. And I have never laughed this much in a video game. I'll give you one tiny example to try to be non-spoilery. There's a very long quest line, a very long important quest line that there's some difficulty at the end of it, but like it runs the course. It runs parallel to the entirety of the game. This one side story. It's almost like the B plot of the game. And what you're doing is you're trying to hunt down the leader of this super vicious gang of pirates. And at one point, he runs away to some set group of islands that are volcanic. So you're like, okay, we're gonna go to I don't remember what they're called, but like we're gonna go to the Fire Islands. And you get there and you fight one of his generals and you beat him, and you're like, all right, well, where's the pirate captain? He supposedly ran off here, and he's like, oh, he ran away to the Frozen Islands, the icy world. And Majima just goes, there's a fucking frozen island. So the game is like so self-aware of just how much they string you along, even in cutscenes sometimes, and how silly some of classic gaming tropes can become. And Majima acts like a complete realistic person when he responds to how some of this shit goes down. So I mean that's just a very tiny thing, but I bust a gut laughing at so much stuff. There's a side quest even that involves you setting up a streaming rig and running a live stream, to help a streamer out and stuff like that. So just this game is insanity in all of the best possible ways. And there's things I don't even want to say. I just want you to experience, because you won't believe some of the things they do, especially for some of the side quests that are just out of this world. And yeah, it's safe to say I love it. It's absolutely one of my favorite Yakuza storylines. It's also like, it's not a storyline about someone trying to do grab a building or a land grab or a real estate grab or some really boring simple real world money grab, power grab thing that most Yakuza games typically eventually boil down into. But this one is just, no, you're looking for a lost pirate treasure of a sunken, of a legendary lost treasure from the early 1800s. So I love that too. So that's also just a lot of fun. Again, jumping back into the gameplay here, again, real-time combat. It also has ship battles. So, within a year release of Yakuza 8 and maybe, like 2 or less years of the last spin-off game, Man Who Erased His Name, they've somehow created a full-on pirate simulator with sea naval battles and ship to ship and deck raiding battles and all that. In all that time that it took Ubisoft to give you Skull and Bones, which had none of that initially. So there's a lesson to be learned here in project management and efficiency. But anyways, let's not kick Ubisoft anymore while they're down. But seriously, guys, this game puts most of the pirate games to shame, and it was made very quickly. But yeah, real-time combat, again, air combat, air juggles, jumping. It's not quite Devil May Cry. It's not quite Platinum Games. If there's one sort of slight disappointment, it's that they don't actually have a ton of options for Majima to do. Now, he's got flashy stuff, and there's stuff you can do in combat, and there's definitely things to unlock, skills to acquire, what have you. But it is still the bones of the traditional Yakuza real-time combat. You know, even you know, it's running on the Dragon engine, and it is definitely coming from the original place. It's just opened up a little bit more. Opened up enough to a point where I didn't get hyper frustrated by this game the same way other games in the series do. You still get people whipping out pistols and shooting you, or even people with machine guns, and it's still annoying as hell. They try to do audio and visual cues so you can maybe parry the bullets or dodge out of the way of the bullets, but you know, some main problems are too many projectile enemies, but what are you going to do? They do try to at least give you better options there. Dodge is still a 3-button maneuver. You have to hold R1 and press circle and a direction on the analog stick to dodge out of a direction. It's still a little too cumbersome to dodge. There definitely could be way more air combat, air combos, more combos in general. Definitely could use a little bit more. More of the upgrades could have been spent into different combo routes rather than just simply beefing up your stats. That's one thing. Another thing too is I feel like it would be more in service, I think, of the game if you could parry or out of things more easily, because it has a thing where a lot of real-time games do that. Platinum and Capcom figured out real fast, which was you should be able to cancel parry or cancel dodge out of things. This game kind of lets you do that, but if you want to get into a good parry off with say like a boss character, you kind of have to like not be attacking. You have to be like sitting there waiting for him to make mistakes and then hitting the parry button, in accordance. If you're mid swing on certain things, there's a lot of times where like you just can't parry cancel out of things or parry dodge, and it's kind of it's just sticking my side. I really think they should be a lot more lenient on it, or let it be something you could unlock even if you make it part of the skill tree. But yeah, that's kind of like the one sort of you're almost there, but you're not quite there with the gameplay. As far as the graphics go, again, this runs on the Dragon engine. It reuses a ton of stuff from Yakuza 8. However, it also has a bunch of new stuff of like Madlantis and a bunch of other new smaller island stuff. And of course, it has the naval combat. You're sailing around in the open sea, and wow, it basically is a fully functioning naval combat game. Now, I've played games like I've played Skull and Bones, and I played Sea of Thieves, and I played Yeast 10, and I played this, and this is pretty much up there with the best of them, honestly. Now, it can get your ship can get wrecked really fast, and you can also wreck other ships really fast depending on how you upgrade your ship. You will notice though that even with the best upgrades and the fully maxing everything out, there's some late end game optional battles that you can still get wrecked, and you basically have to outmaneuver the other ships, which maybe that's intentional. So I'm not really too fussed about that too much. The enemies do aggro you from miles away, it seems, when you're out in the ocean. So when you have to go somewhere that even comes anywhere remotely within eyesight of another ship or fleet of ships, just be prepared. You're fighting that fight. You're not getting out of it. But yeah, most of the time it's generally pretty fun. Again, initially you might think, oh wow, it costs a lot of money to upgrade your ship, kind of. But then you realize there's things you can do in the game that you can really earn money really fast just by beating the crowd, going on bounty hunting on land, or just going after certain naval battles in the sea, or treasure raiding spots. You can really rack up the dough very quickly in this game once you get just a little bit going there. And that's the thing. It's like, it's fun. I've never been so compelled in a Yakuza game to do side quests, to do optional content as I have here. I don't know if it's the setting. It is. I don't know, if it's just the general like comedy that just seems like fresh and funny almost all the way throughout, which is pretty common for Yakuza. But like, man, this game had great side quests, great optional content. It doesn't have quite as much as Yakuza 8. Like, this isn't as big of a game as that. It will not take you anywhere near as long to beat. Like, Yakuza 8 had a full-on Pokemon simulator within the game. This game has a full-on Pokemon Snap game within the game. Almost like they knew, hey, we're the side story. What's a big Pokemon spin-off game for our spin-off game, Pokemon Snap? So we're going to do Sicko Snap, where you go around taking pictures of gyrating, muscular men in sling swimsuits all around Hawaii. I'm not making this up. This game is fantastic. So yeah, there's plenty of mini games. There's a complete reinvention of the batting cages that is way better than the old ones. This is the game. This game, man, like it just constantly making you smile. I'm just ear to ear grin, from corner to corner as we turn around the game. And again, graphically, it looks pretty much as good as Yakuza 8, which means it looks pretty darn good. It's not going to blow you away. It's not going to be some sort of benchmark, but I can say this, playing on PC, on a 30 series, both 3070 and a 3090, I ran into no issues with the game whatsoever graphically. I think maybe it crashed once, maybe. I can't even quite recall if it did or didn't. But unlike other games which stutter constantly or struggle to run at all, this game ran beautifully on PC on a 3070 Ti and a 3090, and I imagine whatever console you choose is going to run just fine because it's a stable in-house engine. It's not Unreal, and it's not trying to do something engine was not meant to do. Although this is the first time they're doing open sea battles and open. It is very sectioned off, large sections, but sectioned off areas of the ocean. So maybe that's the key here. I don't know. What I'm saying is, it's not running into any problems like RE Engine did with Dragon's Dogma and Monster Hunter, and it's not Unreal 5 Stutter Fest 2025. It's just good musically. Oh my god. So let me just say this: Chapter 1 ends in a choreographed, synced up musical sequence of setting off on your grand adventure straight out of Muppets Treasure Island or any other classical music from the golden age of Hollywood. You can't make this stuff up. There is sort of a love and reverence for just about every kind of music in this game. Your crew will sing sea shanties. You will get down and dirty with major metallic guitar riffs for the Goro Pirates main theme. You will go around and find for your iPad music from all kinds of Sega games, Shin Megami and Persona and Nights into Dreams and just Daytona, what have you, Sonic the Hedgehog. It is still a little sad that there's no main area themes. There's no theme for walking around Hawaii or Madlantis or wherever. You still just sort of use your iPad, but when it does have its actual music for cutscenes in the games or event areas or whatever, it's still pretty good. I would say the music is definitely standout. Just if nothing else for that opening musical sequence alone. But this is a phenomenal game. I definitely think it's one everyone should definitely check out. As far as my personal rankings go, I honestly feel that thinking about it, I don't usually get this far in Yakuza games. I like Yakuza games, but I don't get this deep into them. I just don't. But this one I did, and I love it for it. And I am giving this game a 9.5. I think if they could just really, iron out the kinks in the battle system there just a little bit, in some of that stuff, this would be a perfect game. It pretty much almost is at this point for me. I loved this game. I loved playing this game. I loved just thinking about this game when I'm not playing and not being able to wait to come back to this game. This is top 3 Yakuza for me. Now, for reference, I have played and beaten Yakuza 0, Kiwami 2, 3, 4. I have played half of 5, none of 6. I've played a third of 7, beaten 8, beaten Man Who Erased His Name, and now beaten Like a Pirate, and also the Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. I've beaten that. But this is easily top 3 for me. This is way up there. This is way up there with Yakuza 0. Maybe I might even like this one personally a little more, but that's going to be, your mileage may vary between how much you enjoy the setting of Yakuza 0 versus this one. But this is probably one of the best pirate-based games I've ever played, and it's a spin-off for a Yakuza series. It's not even meant to really be a pirate video game series. It just is. Again, Majima just being the fucking most lovable goddamn 60-year-old protagonist in video game history, and the gameplay finally opening up a little bit with the naval combat working really well, and the graphics are really nice. You know, music and jumping all in on the music with the karaoke and all the hidden Sega stuff, but just in going in like we're gonna have like heavy metal, and we're also gonna have classical Hollywood musical sequences. Just we're just going all out. Like it was just. If there was a good thought, if someone had a good wacky idea, they just put it in this game, and I loved it. I loved this game. I know it's not exactly cheap, but I loved it. I loved it so much. I loved it more than Yakuza 8, and gosh darn, Yakuza 8 was one of the best games I played last year. So that being said, I highly recommend Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, or Like a Pirate as I like to call it. Sega, for the love of God, please simplify your game titles here. Good Lord, man. Like a Pirate, it was right there. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I will see you on the channel. Later, dudes.